Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are sharing our Alaska cruise mistakes. You don't want to make these.
No, you don't want to make any of these, especially this first one, because the first one is going to be not arriving early enough to the port. In our case, Seattle, usually it could be Vancouver too, but you've got to give yourself plenty of time. Plan to stay the night before. I would say you probably want to take 2 nights, because there's a couple things that can happen. You can have issues with getting there, you can have weather issues, and you also want to take a little bit of time to see that city that you're getting into.
Especially those 2 that are generally the ones where the Alaska cruises start. Seattle obviously is amazing. We love traveling there and just kind of checking it out. There's always something fun to do when we're there, so if that's one of the places you're headed to, make sure that you get in there at least 1 or 2 days early, add a couple days to your vacation to do that. Same thing with Vancouver, absolutely beautiful city, lots to see, lots to do, lots to eat too, lots of good food there.
Yeah.
But definitely make sure that you get in there early, because you do not want to cut this one close.
Next thing is going to be to not book a balcony. And our first time we went to Alaska, we booked an inside cabin. Then luckily they came through with an offer to upgrade, and they upgraded us for not that much money, and we did end up going with the balcony. And it was just amazing, because when we were floating through the glaciers, you could see like falling off right in front of us, and it was just amazing. So that's something I definitely recommend doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really just, I mean, it was obviously not something we intended to do, to have a balcony when we first booked with our inside cabin, but we got such a great deal. And then I remember when we were on that inside passage, and just to be able to open up those curtains when you wake up, and wow, you're really blown away right there immediately. And there's stuff to see on both sides, so you don't have to worry about, oh, I should run out and go someplace else to see. You can sit in your pajamas and sip your coffee, you know, order some breakfast and sit out there and enjoy while you're checking out the gorgeous views. And it's just really great to be able to have that kind of private area where you can sit and enjoy the views on your Alaska cruise.
Next one is to try to rent a car in Alaska. You do not want to be renting a car and doing a bunch of DIY excursions here. The terrain is just different from the lower 48, and it's going to be much more difficult to pull this off, much more expensive, and you're much better off just going with the ship. So we definitely recommend not doing a DIY excursion.
Yeah, in most places we do DIY excursions, and we encourage those. Alaska is not one of those places on that list, and we definitely discourage you from doing that. It can be very challenging, and like you said, if you're coming from, say, Florida, and you're coming to Alaska and you're going to try to rent a car, and in May you can still get quite a bit of frost and freeze and ice and black ice on the roads and snow. The weather is still pretty unpredictable, even during the cruising season in Alaska. So something to definitely consider not doing is to rent a car.
Yeah, and you also don't want to wait to book your excursions. That's another big mistake, because no one wants to do their own, they are going to sell out. And we did make this mistake several years ago. We were going to Juneau, trying to see the Mendenhall Glacier, and that excursion sold out. So what did we do? We tried to do the DIY route, and we ended up getting off the ship and taking the city bus to a place that was within like a mile of the Mendenhall Glacier, and then we just walked the rest of the way. And as we were walking this mile to the glacier, we saw the bus of the ship shore excursion pass us by, and we were like, oh, I really wish we were on that bus right now.
We were like, oh, we really messed up.
So book early is the advice here, because you don't want to be walking down the road and have the shore excursion bus pass you and regret that you did not book this early.
Absolutely. I think it's so important to book those excursions early. Like you said, because so many people already know that you should be booking your excursions in Alaska through the ship, and not doing DIY, these fill up super fast. So the second they become available, make sure that you go through them and pick out what you want, because you don't want to end up on the city bus and walking like us.
No, definitely not. Next one is not bringing layers of clothing. The weather is very unpredictable there. You're gonna need to bring a bunch of layers when you go off the ship. Have a jacket, have a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, all that. Be layered up so you can adjust to the sun, the snow, the weather, because it's gonna change in an instant.
Yeah, we actually started off one day, I remember, in like t-shirts, but we still had long pants on, and we had our jackets and stuff with us, foldable stuff that is easy to throw into a backpack. And as we made it through the day, it actually got colder instead of warmer, and we ended up, by the time we got back to the ship, we had on everything that we could find that we had with us, because it was quite cold by the time we made it back to the ship.
Yeah, and then you also have to research the weather for the time of year you're going to be out there, because you need to get like a parameter. So May and September are going to be way different than June and July. You're going to need even warmer clothing. So just take a look at the average temperature for the month you're going to be there. Let that be kind of your starting point for your packing.
Yeah, and knowing also that they do get quite a bit of rain throughout, so you're going to want to bring some things that are waterproof as well. Otherwise, you're going to be in really warm clothes, but they're going to be soaking wet if it rains. So make sure that you bring some waterproof protection to put over whatever your top layer is.
And then some of the ports are going to be a little more remote than what you might be used to. This is not like getting off in New York City or Miami, something like that, where there's just stuff available everywhere. So we recommend to bring some food and water when you get off the ship, depending on the port, because you may not find as much as you're used to, especially if it's in kind of that early or late season for your cruise.
Yeah, you'll find that sometimes shops still haven't all fully opened, or restaurants haven't fully opened, or they're starting to close as you're getting close to the end of the season. So keep that in mind. Don't just go by whatever Google says that it's open, you know, until such and such, because sometimes depending on the weather, they change their mind. You know, a lot of these are small businesses, and if they're just not getting enough customers or whatever, they'll shut down early and be done for the season. So make sure that you plan for the fact that some things may close early, or some things may not be open yet, depending on the time of the year that you go.
Yeah, so we hope these are some mistakes that we've made that can save you from making them on your cruise, and you end up having a great Alaskan cruise.
If you have any questions, guys, leave those below in the comment section. We'll see you guys next time.